Dear Dedalus friends and family, I'm joined today by a colleague and friend, Femi. Femi, if you could, in your own words, please describe to us what is a command center when it comes to healthcare?
For me, simply put, the command center is a hub for quality improvement for any health system. In the past, implementations of command centers it's pretty much like you looking in a rear view mirror, looking at what happened in the past. We believe that command centers should be prospective, and it should help an organization to become a learning organization so they can learn from what is not working and drive a prospective improvement.
So Femi, could you tell us please, what are the key features and benefits of the Dedalus Command Center?
For us, really, we believe that in order to be successful, you got to implement 4 key distinctive features. Number 1 is about creating an operational X-ray on the organization that provides you insight into potential risk and a surveillance capability. 2, it's really about the ability to digitize your core measures so you can understand, are we on target and how far out are we? The 3rd is about taking advantage of AI. So we have an AI-powered expert rules engine that understands the challenges and is able to route the actions into the workflow of the stakeholder. And the last really, which is the really important one here, is unlocking the treasure chest of information that is going to drive the command center. And we do that today in sub-seconds. So everything I've just described, you can get all of that in sub-seconds.
So what are the key outcomes and the success stories that you have seen once you have deployed a command center?
Actually, post-COVID kind of highlighted 4 key demands as to who needs one. So the first really is most health systems, as a result of COVID, have got a backlog of surgeries that need to undertake. Number 2, we have, from an inpatient perspective, most organizations tend to struggle from length of stay or effective discharge planning. And of course, from an emergency department and population health, it's about how do I predict the volume that is of patient that's going to come my way, and how do I know how best to manage that in a way that I can maximize my resources. So those 4 things really have actually been at the back of what we do.
Yeah.
And for us really is, when you look at where we've implemented command center, we're seeing right now that we can help organizations actually improve their utilization of their operating theater by up to 20%. Because now we can see the missed opportunities and take advantage of those. And also from an ED, for example, we're able to predict when you rock up into the emergency department whether you're going to need admissions or not. So we have an AI model that actually helps organizations to drive that and improve the time to move me from ED onto a bed in the facility.
So maybe you can help me understand a little bit, what would you say is the sort of key success criteria that creates a command center?
I'm going to kind of structure it around 4 vectors, but at the heart of that vector is the real key thing. To have a successful command center, the data has to be trustworthy.
Right.
The data has to be relevant. It has to be useful, and it's got to be actionable. Those 4 vectors actually demand stakeholders to change. So that's why at the heart of those 4 vectors is change management. Because the command center would highlight gaps, would highlight missed opportunities, but also will highlight impending risk conditions. So individuals have to act. So that's why we say we turn information into actionable set of activities.
In terms of command centers, there's obviously lots of data that goes into them. What is the sort of primary data you think is of huge value when you go out to build a command center?
I think for me, there's quite a number, but I'll just touch on maybe a few.
Yes, please.
One is you need information about scheduling. you need information about the patients, you need information about medication, laboratory orders and results, you need information around pharmacy, and by the way, you also need information around the physical building, like building management systems. And also, as you begin to move and deploy command centers around the emergency department and population health, you need what I call environmental data. So what's happening around traffic?
Right.
Are there any specific events occurring? Is the weather changing? All these what I call social determinants of health data also come into play as well. So it's not just the data captured within the hospital, but all of the other external factors that could impact the activities that are undertaken in the hospital.
So how can a command center help hospital organizations be better prepared for unplanned events?
From a command center perspective, you recall I talked about providing that operational X-ray on the organization. And for unplanned events, unplanned events happen all the time. So the question is, so a command center can give you a real-time view of your capacity and how much flexibility you have in your resource infrastructure. That's number one. But they could also present a view of the ongoing processes so that you can actually understand if there's a delay in a process. For example, if there's a delay in discharge, it means that I'm not able to bring on more people into the ward, right? So it gives you insight into your processes. And at the same time, it tells you what specific actions need to be taken to unblock the logjam that you've got, right? So Command Center really gives you view of both sides of the coin, in the sense that these are the potential impending demands, and these are the actions I really need to take to ensure that as I have an effective flow, I can actually ensure that I open the door for more demand. So it's really about that demand and capacity planning. That's what a command center would help you.
It's a real delicate balance that you have to,
it is.
that helps you come through the command center.
Exactly, and you can actually see it in real time, what the demands are likely to be, and how much flexibility you have within your health system to support the incoming demands.
That's great. So how does a command center integrate with an existing healthcare IT solution and technology that's already been installed on the ecosystem?
I actually start by saying our solution is vendor independent. So it's EMR, or systems of records independent.
Right.
So which means that as long as the data comes in a standard format, everything works. But what we can also do, because of our heritage in integration, we have capabilities of building adapters to our systems as well as our client systems as well. And we have a series of accelerators that helps them to unlock that treasure chest of data. So it's primed ready to support any EMR, as long as we filter and process the data in a standard way that works with us. And that's what we do as part of our implementation, to help clients to adapt their data to the format required.
So just rewinding the tape, so we're saying that the Dedalus Command Center solution is vendor agnostic, correct?
Yeah.
Right.
And that is correct, right? Part of our portfolio is, because our command center is underpinned by our digital platform.
Right.
And one of the key components of that digital platform is the ability to build adapters or connectors to any system.
Right.
So the uniqueness there really is that the command center is vendor agnostic,
yes,
but we also help our clients to unlock their data sets. And by the way, today I'm confident in saying that we have close to about 300 adapters within our portfolio to all plethora of systems.
So, nobody can predict the future, but if you were to look at the trends that are happening at the moment across the ecosystem of healthcare, what would you say is the trend across the command and control center? What's coming up in the future?
I've talked so much about frontline care delivery, right? But when you really look at it, the ability to identify impending risk conditions applies across claims processing, applies across image processing. But also, in order to take advantage of that, is we have our, I would say, our analytics model actually splits into 3 areas.
Right.
One is your typical traditional hypothesis-based insight, if then else. We also have AI-based models, but also I talked earlier about digital twin. So it's the collection of those 3 capabilities that I believe is going to allow us to even punch above our weight. But most importantly though, is really the ability to bring structured and unstructured data, extract additional metadata out of unstructured data and actually bring those new forms of data into play. I think we have exciting times ahead because it allows us really to bend the cost curve of healthcare, which is really the preserve, I would say the preserve of a few today. But I think with a large-scale deployment, we can actually make this really impactful across the globe.
Brilliant. Thank you for a great insight and for educating our friends and family. And we look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thanks, Sam. Great being here today.